What is up, guys? This is Tcg Sam here, and in today's video I'm coming at you guys with kind of an event recap slash sort of deck profile. Just to make it clear, this is like not supposed to be like a deck profile video, so that's why I just laid out my entire deck here. Just want to discuss a few like specific cards I play in my deck and like kind of go over the how I did at a recent event. But before we begin, if you guys like this type of content, be sure to let me know by leaving a like, commenting, subscribing, because it really helps keep me motivated to keep posting more videos like this, and it really helps the channel out. But with that being said, let's just hop straight into it. So, as you can clearly see, I was playing Virtual World at this weekend's extravaganza. I participated in Saturday's Attack of the Giant card, and I'm going to post my matchups on the screen. I managed to get second place, losing in a close game in the finals to the Mirror of all things. But yeah, let me just go over how my matches went. So, round 1 I played against Emancipator Prank Kids, and I won the die roll. Game 1 I just set up Shen, Crystal Wing, Chu-Chi. I didn't have a chance to go into Mud Dragon because my hand wasn't good enough, but it doesn't matter because those were just all we needed. Game 2, he goes first, and I draw Nibiru, and Nibiru just essentially ends his turn, and then I set up Crystal Wing, Chu-Chi, Shen, and that's just game from there. Like, he's just unable to play through the interruptions with Crystal Wing and Chu-Chi after I break his board, so we take it down 2-0. Round 2, we play up against Prank Kids, and we lose the die roll. Game 1, I have Gamma and Ash in my hand, so essentially I make it so he can only summon Weather Washer on my turn. So he's not able to make Battle Butler because he's not able to add back the names with his like doodle or whatever. I don't remember exactly what I ashed his normal summon, but of course he had the extender with Pandemonium, and then I Gammaed his Rocket Ride, so that prevented him from making Bow Wow Bark. Essentially, that means he didn't have all 3 names in hand to be able to summon the Battle Butler on my turn, which is perfect because we're able to break his board with Zeus and Shen and then control the game from there. Game 2, I misplayed. My hand was kind of awkward. I had double Lao, Twin Twisters. I think I like hand trapped him a bit or something, but like essentially he had like 2 back row, and I twinned away one of the Lalas instead of one of the other cards in my hand, and that played right into a Call by the Grave. And essentially, Lala was the only name in my hand, so that was a huge misplay on my part. I just didn't consider Call by the Grave because I just assumed like, oh, it's a one of. Like, I thought it would more likely be a card like, I don't know, Solemn Strike or something, but apparently not. It was Called by the Grave. If I discarded any other card in my hand, I would have been able to play. Might have been able to play, I should say. I don't know if he had a hand trap or not, but either way, that was a misplay on my part, and we lose the game from there. Game 3, I set up Crystal Wing, Chu-Chi, Shen, and I have Contact C in my hand, and it's unfortunate for him, he drew none of his hand traps, but he did have an interesting hand where he just hard makes Butler, using Pandemonium, using the 3 different names in hand, uses effect, which forces out my Crystal Wing, and then he uses Droplets for 1, and then that essentially forces me to Chu-Chi pop my Crystal Wing so my board doesn't get cleared. So he negates my Shen, summons out the 3 Prank Kids, but then I drop Contact C, and essentially he's locked in the Prank Kids, so he's just forced to pass, and then we just win the game from there. Contact C coming in clutch, definitely huge in the Prank Kids matchup. It's one of the cards I'll talk about a little later. In the next round 3, I played against Zoo Tri-Brigade, and I won the dice roll. Game 1, I made Caliga, Crystal Wing, Shen, Chu-Chi, and then, you know, the worst part about it is he actually has Duster. So Duster takes away my Chu-Chi, and the random card that I set off from my hand to trigger Zolkin. Then he normals Rat and makes a 4 material Zeus, sets Strike, and then essentially just breaks the entire board with just a Rat and a Strike. So honestly, at that point, I was just like, dude, I spent all this resource making the Caliga combo just to have it broken by like a single Zeus or whatever. But essentially, we're still able to grind it out. We force out a Zeus with like our normal summon, I believe, and then we have a way to play with like a Kowloon or something, and then we're able to break his board, make my own Zeus, and he's just not able to come back into the game from there because he didn't draw any of his Tri-Brigade stuff. He's only playing with the Zeus stuff. Game 2, I had Gamma and Ash in my hand, which is a really strong combination, and he starts with normal summoning Rat again. And in my head, I could hit either Rat or I could hit the rat with Ash or Gamma, and both I think would be decent plays. Ash because it prevents him from going to the Chakanine play, prevents him from loading up his graveyard, prevents him from getting 2 monsters for Farajit, which could be huge. You could also argue that I could Gamma it just to get it off the board. Either way, I feel like he had to have a Keras as an extender because like, he uses normal summon. But like for some reason, I don't know. I just really mistimed it poorly. I think I saved my Gamma for after he Farajit summoned a monster. I Gamma the Tri-Brigade monster, but then after that, I think he was still able to play through it with like, yeah, he Farajit summoned a monster. I Gamma that monster. He had Keras in hand, and then Keras summoned. I had no way to stop it, and then he went into Bear Bloom Farajit, and that monster into Appaloosa, and then he chain blocks his Bear Bloom. So like it just doesn't do anything. So essentially, I have to play through like his regular board just because I mistimed this hand. It was really poor play on my part. I definitely should have stopped his Ash Blossom and then just Gammaed his Keras. So that was my fault. But we actually did manage to play through Shurek and Appaloosa with our hand, which is pretty nutty because we had Lily, Lulu, Qinglong, and Nian in our hand as the last 4 cards. And bonus points, you can guess exactly how I broke the board with those 4 cards in the comments below. But yeah, we're able to break the board, and we take it down from there 2-0. So that was a lot closer than I think it had to be. But yeah, I just wasn't playing super well that day. In the next round, we get paired up against Subterra Dragoon in top 4. And we lose the die roll, which is really unfortunate because that matchup is like very heavily dependent on who goes first because of the interruptions. Game 1, I Ash's Red Eyes Fusion, but he has Call by the Grave. Then just Dragoon passes. I essentially baited out with Ultimate Zolkin. And like here's the thing, I got a little lucky because my opponent didn't know what the virtual world cards did. So essentially I only had a Kowloon and a Lulu as my only plays in hand. So I Kowloon, he lets it go. And then I Lulu target the Kowloon. And in my head, I was crossing my fingers he'd be like trying to play around Gamma or something by like not using Dragoon on Lulu because Lulu was my only name. But essentially, he lets it go. Essentially, he lets all my names go until I make a Zolkin because I know Zolkin's gonna force it out for sure. And then to out the Dragoon, I make a Utopia Beyond after, and then go into a 4 Material Zeus. Even though he has Red Wyvern in the end phase off of Red Eye's Insight, like I essentially force out both the Dragoon negates with like my 2 Zeus Sends, and then essentially we're able to reset up our board. Even going using 2-2 to just go for game. It's pretty funny. I went M7, added back a name, discarded it for 2-2, summoned it back, and then just swung for game with the 2-2. Because 2-2 doesn't have to summon in defense, so that was really nice. Alright, so game 2, my opponent goes first, activates Hidden City, gets Guru, sets it, uses Hidden City, flips it up. I try to use Gamma on his Guru, which gets met with Fiendus, so his Guru resolves, searching the final battle. Also, Ash's Red Eyes Fusion, so he just sets 1 card, passes. I'm able to twin the battle and the city, so like the Hidden City and the final battle. But I only have Nyan, Lala, and Gamma in my hand, and he essentially knows I have Gamma in my hand, so he just like Ash's Gamma when I try to like negate Guru. So essentially I'm just forced to pass, and then he also just like summons, so I believe summons a Fiendus, like sets 1, passes. And I try to make a play with like Lalao and Qinglong because I top deck Qinglong for turn, sending 2-2, summoning it out, summoning out Lalao. I unfortunately don't get to summon back anything from the graveyard. And then I normal summon Nian 2-2 effect, so discarding Gamma, summoning it from my grave. Essentially, I know he has like a Fiendus and Guru face up at this point, so his Guru becomes a Book of Moon. I try to go battle phase to kill the Fiendus to make sure his Guru isn't a quick effect. And then he books the Guru and books my Nyan. So essentially I have 2 level 6 tuners on the board, which pretty much means I can only go to XYZ play. So after that I make a Fan with Lala and 2-2, which actually gets D-barriered of all things. Like when I try to banish his cards, like I get D-barriered, I'm like, that's insane, man. I have not seen that card in a while. It actually turns out pretty well for us. Because in my head I was thinking, okay, if he has like Torrential or whatever, Fan's really good because it floats. And like, luckily for me, he didn't know about Fan's floating effect. So he, instead of going into Anaconda, into Dragoon, popping my board and just attacking and negating Fan attacking for game, he actually goes into like he goes like normal Fiendus, turn into Almirage, make Hida, summon back my Ash from the grave, and then go into Celine and then Axis Code Talker. And he only has 2 pops in the graveyard because because I believe it was like Almirage and Celine, he can banish 2 to pop 2 cards. So I had to set Nian Nian and the Fan Fan. So he pops both of them. And he doesn't know about Fan Fan's floating effect. So Fan Fan summons 2 guys from the graveyard. And then triggers Nian Nian as well. So essentially I have 3 chump blockers on the board. And he's not able to game me. And then during the next turn, I top deck probably the best card in my deck, being a Lulu. And essentially we just went through there, even through Ghost Spell in his hand. Because even though we search GG off of Lulu against Ghost Spell, it just doesn't matter. Because we're able to M7, add back Lao Lao, make Vermilion, pop his board, pass with an Ash in hand, and then like we just went after he draws, and he just top decks Summon Limit and loses from there. So a very, very intense game 2, but we're able to take it down, meaning we're in the finals of the Attack of the Giant card. And at this point, we are guaranteed to get at least a half oversized card, but if we had to get first place in order to get actually get the giant card. So in the final round, we're in a virtual world mirror in the finals. I lose the die roll. Game 1, I gamma on his Lulu, and essentially he just M7 passes, and essentially I'm able to win it out after with Chuchi, Crystal Wing, and Shenzhen from there, because he has no way to stop my plays on my turn. Game 2, I ashes Lulu once again, but essentially he ends with Crystal Wing, Chuchi, and grabs a Lancia for Prosperity. So his hand was decent enough to play through just a single Ash, because I only had 1 Ash as my only hand trap, which is unfortunate. I can't play through it with my hand because I had like twin double Qinglong and like a Lala or something. It was like really awkward. I was not able to play from there. Like that's the thing with Twin Twisters, unfortunately. I kind of don't like. I would play Lightning Storms if I had them, but unfortunately since I don't, I'm kind of stuck with Twin. And Twin, like in theory, it's good because you can discard cards like Qinglong and the traps, but like you essentially kind of need the hand advantage going second. And then finally, game 3, my trick in the virtual mirror is to make them go first, and then I side in Dark Ruler and Twin Twisters to break their board. Essentially, since like I don't really care about if they set up Shenzhen or whatever, the only thing I care about is really Chuchi. But I figured the extra card I can get going second could be really valuable in that matchup. I ashes Lulu once again, so his Lulu did not resolve a single time in this match, which is pretty funny. But ashes, like I only have like double ashes in my hand trap, so it's really unfortunate. He has like Haluna and Lala as well, which is where he's still able to make Crystal Wing Chuchi once again. And essentially I only have like 1 Lulu in my hand as my only name, and I top deck Desires, which draws me into Chuchi and another Desire, so it's really unfortunate. My hand is just absolute like it's just terrible at that point. Like all I can do is like normal summon a Nian Nian, Lulu target, and then or something like that. Either way, I don't remember what I did exactly, but I'm able to make a Break Sword. I Break Sword, target my set card and his Crystal Wing to force it out, because I'm like, oh, if he negates my Break Sword, sure, I still have a play with like I believe I had a Shan Wu in my graveyard, and I could bring back like some level 3, and then Nian Nian summons itself back to make like a Juju set. I have a Chuchi as well, so like I'm able to kind of control the game from there. But essentially he imperms my Break Sword, which is crazy because I thought he'd set out imperm in the virtual mirror, but he actually didn't, and essentially we just can't do anything from there because he only has Zulk and Crystal Wing on his board, and the thing with Zulkin is you can't attack it if he has another Synchro. So I couldn't make a Zeus. With my Phantom Knights of Break Sword, which is just super unfortunate. And then essentially our Chuchi wasn't enough to stop him. He had Lulu and Lala from like last turn, and it's nothing I could do. No matter what I popped with Chuchi, whether it was the Crystal Wing or the his Chuchi, like we still lost the game from there. So it's really unfortunate. We just didn't draw it incredibly well. Game 3, our Desires was pretty terrible, but it is what it is. We ended up getting second place. Not a bad showing at all. I didn't brick at all that day, and I'm actually going to explain why I think that was the case in just a moment. Alright, so getting into kind of like the deck discussion on like some specific cards I played. You may have noticed Nibiru in my main deck. This was over Infinite Impermanence. The reason I thought that was best for this event was because I just thought there'd be a lot more people on Prank Kids, considering it won like the recent YCS. it was specifically just to like counter those like prank hits or whatever, because like in reality, like Imperm sucks against prank hits. Although Imperm is better against like Tri Brigade Zoo, that's kind of like the trade-off. I thought there'd be an increase in like heavy combo decks like Dragon Link or like prank hits. So that's why I played it main deck Nibiru. I only played against one prank hits today, and like this didn't even come up. So I mean, I can't really say how well it did. In the future, though, I'd probably just switch them back for impermanence, just because it has more coverage and it's a smaller trap that I can set. Just because, like, I noticed a lot of my hands, some of like my okay hands are like where I have like a few names, like some, like I have to start with a Kowloon or something like, or just have to start with a Qinglong or something like that. Just having another card to set can be really huge, just because of how powerful like the Zolkin to Crystal Wing combo is. Speaking of which, the cards I want to discuss in my extra deck being Mudragon and Caliga. So the thing with like Mudragon is I only used it like once this event, and the dumb thing is I got broken by like 2 cards. So I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know if I even like this package. Like in theory, it's really powerful, but like in practice, when I've used it, like once this tournament, I just got destroyed with it. I also I also played in the extravaganza like the day after, and I'm gonna be going over my matchups on that at the end of the video, because like I didn't do so well in the event. So like if you care about that, you can stay until the end. But if you don't care, like if you're just here for the deck discussion, I'm gonna be discussing it. But like on that day, I also made this, and I just got absolutely destroyed that game. So honestly, I don't think I particularly like this package, like because it doesn't give you that much follow-up to, but like I think you kind of need this against those like combo decks out there. So the Caliga package honestly was pretty underwhelming this weekend, but I don't know what I'd replace them with, because like I feel like I made every other card in my extra deck aside from like Coral this weekend. I made every single card in my extra deck. All of them were pretty decent. I never found myself wanting another card in my extra deck, so like I guess I'll keep this for now. Another card I want to talk about, which I think was kind of like the key to my to like not breaking, was Double Foolish Real Goods. I know a lot of people don't like this card in Virtual World because essentially it's a quote-unquote, oh, it's a -1 or whatever. You have to trade like 2 cards just to get a single name. But the beauty of like Foolish Real Goods is like honestly, it essentially acts as the other name when you have only these. It still lets you make kind of a scuffed combo with just like goods plus like one of these with like Lulu. It's not great honestly, but the fact that if you have any of these 2 plus a goods, you still end with like Shen Shen and like a Chi with this, or with just this, sure, you can have like Shen Shen with a Lulu follow-up. So it's not like the end of the world. Foolish Real Goods, a lot of the time I sat it out game 2 and 3, so it's really easy side out fodder, but I really liked it in the main deck because it added a lot of consistency to my deck. It's also a Speller Trap that you can set for Zolkin, but a few times it came up where I would need to send this like in theory as like an extender, sending a Shan Wu or whatever. My normal summon got popped or something, or yeah, you know, like in the Tri Brigade matchup, if you're playing against a Shureg and they banish your normal summon, this sends Qinglong, banish, search, 2/2 dump 2/2 effect, discard a name, and then you're able to play from there. But yeah, like I know, like I said before, a lot of people don't like this, but I personally found that this was kind of like the key to my consistency this weekend. I don't have Prosperity, otherwise this would probably be Prosperity. I think Prosperity is a really powerful card in this deck. Essentially, it's almost guarantees you see a name off of it. But that's all I have to talk about in like the main deck. It's pretty standard. Like most virtual lists, like 3/4 of the deck are going to be identical. But yeah, just wanted to explain why I played Foolish Real Goods and why I made Nibiru. In the extra deck, not much to talk about, like I said, other than the Caliga package. Every time I make this, I actually lose every game I make this, which is crazy because this is supposed to be an auto win against like the decks I'm making it against. But it is what it is. Talking about the side deck finally. This is my final side deck. If you haven't checked out my video on like siding patterns, I tell you exactly what I side in and out against every single deck. I think a card like Contact C is very powerful this format against Tri Brigade, Prank Kids, like Madolche, Dragon Link, like stuff like that. A lot of decks require like specific like in archetype monsters to make their link or monsters or whatever. It's really powerful against decks like that. Droll and Lockbird was there for Drytrons because I don't have Cycle Readers. I think Droll is also pretty decent against them. Droll also has applications against like other combo decks, which like may search a lot, like Pendulums or whatever, but I never ran into those. It was also in theory like there for potential Sky Strikers just because I needed some cards to side like in for the matchup, because like obviously I take out Nibiru's, I take out Desires in the Striker matchup. I explained my reasoning for that in my siding video. But yeah, the side deck worked pretty well for me today. There was like one time where like in the last match I played in the virtual mirror where I was going first. I didn't really have much to side in against them. Like that's why I chose to go second. But like yeah, this card unfortunately doesn't hit Virtual Worlds, but like this card was just in theory incredible today. I would not replace this card with anything else. This card is just super powerful for going first. There's not much I change about the side deck, but yeah, that's kind of just my quick discussion on why I played certain cards in the deck. Like I said, the biggest turning points would be the Caliga package. I would consider cutting this for something else, although right now I never saw myself needing any specific monster in my extra deck. So like for now, these will probably stay. Like I said, these would be prosperities if I had them, but I don't. And then finally, I'd replace this back for an impermanence, just because it has better coverage against Trapigate Zoo, and it's a card I can set off from my hand to summon the Crystal Wing. But now I'm gonna be talking about the extravaganza event that I played in this weekend, like the main event. I didn't do so well in it, which is why I didn't put it at the beginning. So if you stayed this long, thank you for staying. If you like this content, leave a like, comment, subscribe. But anyways, let's just hop straight into my matchups on that day. Alright, so for the extravaganza main event, round 1, I get paired up against Jesse Cotton, and for those of you who've been living under a rock, he's probably arguably the best Yu-Gi-Oh player in the world right now, if not the best, just because of all of his achievements. And it's insane because my first time playing him, so to be honest, I was a little nervous, but luckily for us, he was just trying to have some fun today. So we get paired up against True Dracos, piloted by Jesse Cotton. I win the die roll. I go first, make Caliga, Chuchi, Crystal Wing, and have an Ash in my hand. And I was thinking, okay, he's normally known for playing combo decks, so this is probably an auto win. And then he just like sets up, and then he just like, oh, set Draco Trap, Tribute, Pop, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And that's actually just, I get absolutely steamrolled that game. So the second time I made the Calica package this weekend, didn't go so well. I got absolutely hosed both the games that I made them. So honestly, I'm not even sure if like this is worth even going for. But like, you know what? It is what it is. Game 2. I start going Shen Chuchi, M7 adds back a follow-up, and he can't really do anything because his deck just auto-loses the Shen. Game 3, he makes me go first, which was a little surprising considering how he plays so few hand traps. I only saw he had Gamma and Lancia in his list, so I'm not really sure. Yeah, I guess he was hoping to draw one of those or a droplet to out the Shen. But I make Shen Chuchi and have a GG to like add a follow-up with Lulu. So I passed, I Ash his card Demise, and his draws with like Upstart Duality weren't that good, so he's unable to like break my board, and essentially I just win from there. So despite being the best player in the world, I had a very good matchup. I think I got a little lucky. His draws weren't super good, but yeah, we take down round 1. Round 2, you get paired up against Madolche. I lose the die roll. Game 1, he has Promenade and Imperm. Promenade being like a pseudo Imperm, but I misplayed really badly this game. I only had a GG, Nian and a Qinglong as my names. Instead of targeting normal summoning Nian and targeting with GG, I was an idiot and I targeted the Qinglong with the GG. So I was thinking, oh, I can just like make a break sword, because like I already baited out his Promenade with a Kowloon. I was like, oh, whatever. What could he possibly have set? But then essentially I went break sword to try to pop his set in Qinglong to get the Qinglong into the graveyard, but his Imperm negates my break sword again, and like a moron, I couldn't get another name into play. So essentially from there, there's not much I can really do. I make a Zeus clear his board, but he has a bunch of follow-up, and I also play really poorly. He destroys one of my Speller Trap cards with one of his Madolche monsters, and I forgot to attach with Zeus. I was supposed to attach Shan Wu to be able to play next turn. But I don't. It totally slips my mind, And then the craziest part, I draw Shanwu for turn, and yeah, I lose from there. So we lose game 1. Game 2, I went first, and I went Chuchi, Crystal Wing, pass. Like, I had a really mediocre hand. I didn't think Shanshan did a lot against the deck, so I just went Crystal Wing, Chuchi. He even leads me, which is totally okay. I leave myself to Crystal Wing, except he has Petting Cessor and like Salon and another normal. So I'm like, what am I supposed to even negate against the? I can't wait for his XYZ because his XYZ becomes unaffected by monster effects, and like it's just really bad. So I just negate his like Angeli that he summons off of Petting Cessor. But like unfortunately, there's not much we can do because he has like Salon and Ticket up, which means every time a Madoshe card is like shuffled back into his deck, he gets like a +2. He sets one from his deck and he adds one from his hand with Ticket. And like if I destroyed his Petting Cessor in hand, Petting Cessor's effect, if it's destroyed by a card effect, it shuffles itself back into the deck, I believe. And then he just gets a +2 from there. So like, what am I supposed to do against that? Essentially, there's not much I could really do that game. He sets up his board, clears my Crystal Wing, and I just lose from there. So we lose 0-2. That matchup is really unlucky. Round 3, I play against Eldest Dragoon. Game 1, his Conquistador kept popping my normal summon. Essentially, once he made a Dragoon, he negated the Kowloon that I top deck for turn, and I could just never get a monster board to target. Which is crazy because my opening hand was 5 virtual names, and I would have won if I was going first. But it is what it is. Game 2, and with Constellar Ptolemy M7 plus a Shenshen and a Chuchi pass, I eventually played through his Torrential Tribute and his Strike, clearing my board. But like essentially that's all he has, and I just have a bunch of strong follow-up where I'm able to keep putting monsters on the board. I forced him to Torrential me early. He striked my Lao Lao, but even then I still had follow-up after that, so I was able to play out of it and win. Game 3, he goes Dragoon set 3 pass. I bait Dragoon with Kowloon. Twin pops the Conquistador. He tries to activate on my normal summon, and then I made a Zeus with like 4, and then I made a Zeus with the 4 materials with the Utopia Beyond. So Utopia Beyond coming in clutch this weekend, adding Dragoon, and then make a 4 material Zeus, essentially send his board, set up a Shenshin as well, and we're just able to win from there. Round 4, we play against Extravaganza Zoo. This was a really unfortunate game for my opponent. Game 1, he just bricks terribly. He has like Ash, Bell, Double Revolt, and like a Barrage or something. Essentially, even though he has Ash and Bell, I eventually go M7 to add back my Ash Blossom, make a Zeus, make a Shanshan, make a Chuchi. He can't do much there. He scoops. Game 2, he starts with a Rat and a Keras. But I have Gamma and Nibiru, which essentially leaves him with nothing, because he commits everything to the board with his Keras after he gets Gamma'd by me, and then my Nibiru is able to just clear out everything, even though he Furjeet draws when he's not able to draw into anything. And then essentially we're at a point where I have Lao Lao, Twin Twisters, and drawn to Contact Seed because I hard drew the driver and the Gamma was really unlucky. So I'm actually not able to do anything either, and we just pass back and forth for a few turns. He has Anti-Spell. He keeps like drawing back row to set, but like I essentially twin out his back row, hoping to hit a Revolt on that one turn. But essentially he's only drawing like Call by, Strike, like stuff like that. It's just not much he can do. Even though he ashes my Lao like one time, like it doesn't matter because we're able to draw out of the brick like first, so it's really unfortunate for him. Essentially, I just keep swinging with Nibiru, and eventually we just win by swinging 3 times with Nibiru, which is pretty insane. Round 5, we play against Drytron. Game 1, he goes Alpha Zeta and has Instant Fusion for Millennium Eyes, and I open 0 hand traps. So you can guess how that game goes. Game 2, this is insane. I look down at my hand, I see Triple Desires, a Goods, and a Chuchi, and I'm like, I guess it's just a sign I should just drop the event and just go do something else. Even though my Desires draws weren't terrible, I drew into E-Telly and Droll, which allowed me to play with like E-Telly Goods, make a really scuffed combo with like Lulu and Gigi, and then putting up a Chuchi. So I was like, oh, I have Shenshin Chuchi plus a Droll, and then this guy goes Alpha Tribute Zeta again. I'm like, dude, okay, I guess you're just a better player. Even though I droll him, he's able to summon out the Lyralist rank 1 to make a Zeus, and then like there's nothing I can do because I know he has access to 3 names. Even if I pop one of the names on the board, he can just summon the other name and still make the same place. So there's just not much I can do. I saved my Chuchi to out the Zeus instead, and then from there, all I can do after I out a Zeus is like I draw is like activate another desires because I had double desires in my hand still. I activate desires drawn to like GG and different dimension grounds. So I was thinking, oh okay, I have a Qinglong in graveyard. I can like Qinglong search Lulu, reestablish Chuchi. Because the crazy part is that even after double desiring, I still had exactly one Qinglong, one Chuchi in my deck for Lulu to send and add. So I was thinking, oh, it's not bad. But then the crazy thing is just orange. He hard draws orange light, which negates my Lulu. And then it's really unfortunate because from there, I can't even Shen summon my guys back because I only have Droll and double Lulu in the graveyard, which is absolutely insane. And we just can't play from there. So yeah, it's really unfortunate. We went 3-2, so technically we can still get our invite. And especially this event, we could technically still get 7th and 8th to get the map, but like my tiebreakers weren't that great in my opinion. So I decided just to drop the event. I only cared about the map because I already had my invite. But yeah, that's essentially how my event went. I did a lot better in the Attack of the Giant card, but yeah, I know it's been a long video, so if you guys have stuck with me all this time, thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and with that, I will see you guys soon. Take care.